Hello, welcome back to Bloodborne. Here we are, part 4. Alright, so we went ahead and journeyed through the bottom half of basic Yarnum here. Now we're going to go through the top part. So if you remember, this is where the werewolves have been at, but we already killed them. And like I said, I'm not going to go back to the Hunter's Dream and, restart the entire area, so I have to fight through stuff and get more souls and stuff like that. I will just do that as we play through. So anywhere that you see me stop is basically where I'm going to be at in every video. So from here, we've already known that to the left is the downstairs towards the building and the shortcut. To the right is that drop off to the other shortcut, and then forward is going to be a boss. So over here, we ran backwards. There was an item behind the statues. And then now we want to take these stairs and go down. Over here off to the right will be the pebbles. Behind all this stuff will be some more stone shards. I would suggest not rolling through here, because if you take a wrong roll dive, you're going to roll straight off the edge, and I mean, you will get caught by it. Most likely you will be caught by the little pillars here, or whatever, the planks, but just to be safe, just take your time. Drop off, keep looking down, make sure you know where you want to drop before you do it, because once you commit, you commit. This side is the ladder side, and that side is not the ladder side. As you can tell, we have a couple of beast guys patrolling the area. So generally what I like to do is I like to take on this beast guy right here, because he's going to get right under us. And allowing me a oil urn was a really good drop, actually. Allowing me a pretty good, drop attack. How you do drop attacks is you basically just walk off the edge and you just push R1, and then the character will go into a plunging animation. This guy over here. Let him do his thing. Try to catch them before they do that, because if they die and they fall off the edge, luckily enough, he would have fallen in the place that we could get to, but if they fall and die off the edge, and you can't follow them without dying yourself, then you're going to lose that item for good. Some NPCs, though, like in the Souls games, you can reset the game and their item will appear before you, because it's supposed to be an unmissable item. But just to be safe, try to grab it without killing yourself. Now this guy, I don't want him to fall off the edge. Because you don't want to deal with him down there, because there's another one of him who was just a bit stronger for whatever reason. And a whole bunch of rats infest that bottom area. So you really just don't want to be dealing with him and then his counterpart and the other rats that are just kind of flying around doing dumb shit to you. So walk off the beam there, grab this thick cold blood, try to line yourself up evenly here and get the drop on the rat. Now, with rats, I'll go ahead and aggro one. Or get both. Now, when they do like this when they run up on you like that, they ain't gonna do nothing. It's this little jumping animation where they do damage. There it is. All you gotta do, though, is just continue to walk backwards, and they won't do nothing to you. They'll miss and dive bomb every single time. I'm actually getting really lucky with these. Oh, just got taken out by a rat, bro. But yeah, I was getting really, really lucky with those throwing knives. Throwing knife is basically an upgraded pebble to me. Like, they just do a lot of damage, so if you really just want to poke something and get some good damage in before, then throw a throwing knife and just fight it. And I kind of deserved that rat attack because I was like, yeah, they don't do nothing to you. Usually this one is the one that only drops a serrated knife for me, or the throwing knives for me. But it was really interesting to see like 4 of them drop knives like that. So this guy, he is going to try to ambush us. I don't know why he's not turned around, but that's excellent. Oh. Let's just try to get the drop on him. Yeah, like I said, he's incredibly stronger than all of the other beastmen. I don't know why he is. I don't know if he's just a rite of passage or whatever. Or, you know, he became stronger because he took down this hunter. I have no idea. Whatever world lore you want to build for yourself, do it. I think it's just too much. Too much for this point of the game. Now, we can look like the cover art in its most iconic Bloodborne form. So there you go. Now we look exactly like the cover art. God mode achieved. Alright, so this pillar can be kind of difficult to deal with, so just kind of boom. Sometimes it likes to hit something on there and you just kind of drop in between all of the stuff. Like that. Alright, these dudes down here, they are just like incredibly resistant to all attacks for no reason. So just drop down, run for this item, and just dip out. And then you'll see that we have the ladder, the other ladder. With that other ladder that allowed us to get that other shortcut for the little girl. Oh, excuse me. Fighting a little bit of a cough here, so sorry if my voice gets a little yanked up. These guys can actually do a boatload of damage, and it's like kind of insane how they are. Yeah, we'll just let them do their thing. Once you climb this ladder right here, you'll actually be brought to the top. For a shortcut that I didn't activate just yet. This is probably, or, you know, like right here. So this is a shortcut I couldn't activate just yet because you can't do it past the trolls that you see on the by the house. But essentially what you want to do here is you want to pop it and then roll back out because we're not trying to go back to the top. So just do that and then let it go. And in that sense, you have activated the shortcut, so you don't need to ride up elevators or anything like that in order to activate it. You just got to hit the buttons. So from here, we are going to sprint past the pig and then circle around his back. when he does that little charge yell, that's good, because we want that. And then we'll have to take a few more swipes at it. There we go. So the Saw Hunter badge is going to allow us to start buying all of the weapons that we didn't choose in the beginning. So if you just want to take a look at it, it doesn't really tell you what it unlocks, but you'll use, anytime you get a badge, it's going to be for the Bath Messengers back at the Hunter's Dream. So you can look on Google or Wiki or whatever to see what they unlock, but generally just go back to the Bath Messengers and sift through their inventory to see what new items you have available. But the Saw Hunter badge will allow us to start buying the Threaded Cane, the Saw Cleaver, and the Hunter's Axe. Along with, I think, the Blunderbuss as well. Not really sure. I never buy firearms, so I don't know. But yeah, so you want to sprint past that pig on its left side. Let it do its little yell charge, because what it's trying to do is you're going to essentially run into that pig for the first time, and you're going to freeze at the entrance. What it's going to do is that it's going to yell like that and then begin to charge at you. If you get charged at and you have those dudes following you from behind and the crows are kind of, you know, following you and flapping around, you're going to be in for a bad time, because you're going to get pinched in between two things you don't want to get pinched in between. The pig does a lot of damage, and then so do those guys. So you want to kind of run past it, let it do its little, you know, jump, stomp attack, whatever the heck thing that thing was. Get behind it, use the charged R2, and then kill it from there. You know, as we get higher levels and stuff like that, the Visceral will be able to kill it in one hit, but because of our low level, we weren't able to do that. Just take a couple more swipes at it. It will not hind kick you. There are certain pigs that will, but they only do it in the Chalice dungeons. These pigs will never hind kick you. Their most dangerous attacks are like this side swipe, kind of like head movement thing. That'll do a lot of damage, and definitely that stomp will probably one-hit KO you. So come out the side here after grabbing those items, and you want to climb up. So be aware of this area, because once we reach the top, there's going to be a guy with a shield that's going to light this ball on fire. The ball of fire is meant, you were meant to approach it from that side. Walk over here and deal with it by dodging it, or, you know, basically getting ran over by the thing and dying, while also having to deal with a whole bunch of enemies. So this is essentially the back route. So I honestly got really lucky there. And I'll explain why I did get lucky, is because when the torch guy lit the ball on fire, he was just enough in range to where he actually damaged himself with the fireball. So, yeah, he ended up taking almost all damage and nearly dying from it. So I just had to do a little tap just to knock him out. If you need to, you can call back the elevator and go back up, which I'm going to have this elevator kind of chilling for us when we come back here. And these 4 guys that got ran over, or 5 guys that got ran over, generally 1 or 2 of them, or even all of them, do survive this fireball at times. So you might, depending on where they run towards. If they like to take this like corner right here, or they run right here and they completely avoids them, and then you'll have to deal with some cleanup, but that's okay. They're just the regular guys. So you don't really have to worry too much about those. But just be aware that not all of them will die like that, but I did get a strike that time, so very good. Deal with the troll, deal with the guy, and then come up this way, and you will be faced with 2 choices. You can go back to the beginning and face the first boss, or you can go ahead and face the first boss. Depending on your route and how you set it up, this guy might be your first boss of the game, or he could be your second. We are going to opt to do him second because I do want him to help us in a fight. And if you fight him now, he will not help you in said fight. So this one right here, this is kind of hard to pull off. If you can, get behind this guy and use a visceral, because he's the most dangerous of the two. But I found it to be a little bit harder to get around that corner because that grate right there just loves to get in the way. So I just take out the easier guy. And then just kind of get away from this guy, let him do his thing. Because I don't know what it is with these guys. They hit you so hard, and it's just ridiculous how much damage they end up doing to you. So taking a look at my weapon upgrades here, I got 13 of the shards, which is tremendous. Usually you would probably just have enough to get a weapon to +2. And that's really all I can do right now is just get my weapon to +2, because you'll need 16 of each shard in order to upgrade it to its +3, +6, and +9 variants. So right here, you can choose to fight this guy or not. We are going to opt not to do that, and for very good reasons. When I first played through the game, that was my first boss, and I was just having a bad time. I just did not know what to do. So from here, we are going to take this. This is why we dropped the platform. And we are going to run over here to fight some trolls. Oh. See, this is why I don't like doing the sidestepping stuff, because that can get in the way. So not the prettiest way to deal with those two. And honestly, it's because I was kind of hesitating on their charge. Sometimes if you just if you just hit them right away with the pistol while they're in that charge animation, it'll just instantly put them in a stagger state. But for some reason, I've trained my brain to wait until they actually get to me. And as you see, it doesn't. So it's hit or miss on the parries with those guys when they're in certain animations. So that is all of Yharnam, like intro area, pretty much clear. We've done every encounter we can come up to at this point, unlocked every shortcut that we found, gotten every single item and blood echo that was available to us at this point. You should be around the same amount, if not a little bit more or less, depending on what your starting background was or whatever. So, you know, you can continuously just make those loops around here and get as many blood echoes as you want to get the upgrades, items, or anything that you're trying to do before your first official boss. And actually, let's just get a little bit more echoes, actually. I want to take out the troll that was up here. So then we will clear out all the enemies officially. thank goodness that I would die to that guy. Alright. So through here is going to be the first official boss of the game. Okay, I shouldn't say official, because like I said, you have two choices. You can do the other guy, or you can do this one. Most of the time people run up and they're like, oh, what's over here? Find a boss. Because it's kind of what's presented to you in the first round. So I consider it the first boss, or at least it should be, because that's the way that the route plan would have worked anyway. But in this instance, what I'm going to do is, in this game, we have a thing called Insight. It's pretty much that eyeball icon that's underneath the blood echoes. And Insight is needed for a couple of things. You know, you can buy items with it at the Bath Messengers on the top of the hill, next to the house in the Hunter's Dream, or, you know, in order to see certain creatures throughout the entire game and stuff like that. Because Yharnam is not as it's presented, because we just have no insight. So, how you generally are going to find your level up the very first time around is when you do come across either of those bosses, you actually gain an insight point for just discovering a boss. Two ways you can handle that. You can pop a Hunter's Bold Mark, and you can get out of there, going back to the Hunter's Dream, with all of your echoes and everything and the new insight that you acquired. Or you can just fight the boss, go, you know, use their lantern to get back to the Hunter's Dream, and the doll will have awakened. Now, this route, we are actually going to pop a Madman's Knowledge. That is going to give us the insight that we need to start leveling up. So from here, we have done everything we can in Yharnam for now. We are going to go back to Punisher. Alright, so, back at the Hunter's Dream. We have now seen that the doll has awoken. We have a new item here. The Beckoning Bell and the Silencing Blank. So pretty much multiplayer items. If you're going to summon somebody, or if you don't want someone in your game, you're going to use the Silencing Blank. Or to get out of somebody's world. Over here. Consume Insight and ring the Old Hunter Bell to enlist the cooperation of the Old Hunters. The Old Hunter Bell. So, we need that in order to start summoning people or NPCs in the game. Very good item. As you can see, the guy in the wheelchair, Gurman, is nowhere to be found. He does appear various times, and it is very hard to kind of explain where he's at and when he does appear, because he is kind of random. But there are certain sequences that you need to do and then go back and forth to the Hunter's Dream in order to make him appear. He has some unique dialogue, but, you know, it's better just to kind of wiki it and see what he would say, because trying to get him to show up is kind of a nightmare. If you want to get the small resonant bell, this is exactly what it says. Ring this bell to help hunters in other worlds. Pretty much, if anybody is requiring assistance, they will see your summon sign and enlist your aid. Coming over here, since we had that Saw Hunter badge, we can now purchase new items. We got new weapons. Yep, the blunderbuss, okay. This was already kind of set there. We could buy this since the beginning, and that's it. But most importantly, we want to level up and upgrade our stuff. So from here, if you know that you're going to upgrade a weapon, do not repair it. You're just going to waste those blood echoes, because it automatically gets a free repair upon upgrading it. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to upgrade the Saw Spear, and this is going to be our primary weapon until we pick up the Rifle Spear and eventually the Reader Palash. Two weapons that I honestly have never ventured to use, so that's going to be great for my blood and or my blood tinge and skill build that I'm trying to go for. So over here you see I need 3 shards to upgrade this. We have those, so we're going to go ahead and do that along with 240 blood echoes. These are expensive. And then another 5 plus 280 to get it to plus 2. So now we're doing more damage. And that's essentially what you're doing. Also, when you upgrade your weapon, you are also unlocking the ability to put bloodstone gems into the weapon. So as you can see, if I upgraded the threaded cane one time, where it's shining blue on that little like explosion icon, that's telling me that when I upgrade this weapon for the first time, I am going to be allowed to slot a blood gem in the weapon. Now, doing the saw spear twice, I have to do it one more time in order to get a second bloodstone gem to get slotted into the weapon. So the icons matter because there's certain bloodstone gems that will slot into certain weapons. So in this one, we have, you know, the little explosion icon, and then there's like a crescent one. That'll make more sense when we actually start collecting these bloodstone gems. So that's taken care of. We don't need to worry about that. Now what you can do is that you can actually go around and farm those beastmen or the actual werewolves and try to get 3 more bloodstone shards. Unless you had very good RNG and you already had them, then you can go ahead and plus this weapon up to plus 3. Okay? But plus 2 is more than enough to take on the first 2 bosses, so we don't need to worry about that. And as you can tell, I don't need to repair it because it already repaired itself once it upgraded. So the saw spear is going to do a lot more damage than threaded cane at this point. So really hunker down and figure out what weapon type you might want to use for a good portion of the game, because those things are limited. Even though you can buy them eventually and you can farm them off of enemies, it's just easier to get the ones that drop off of, like, you know, common loot drops and stuff like that, or treasure hunts and stuff like that. And then just focus on one weapon, get good with it, learn it, and then you can just kind of use that weapon. I mean, every single weapon can be carried into the end game, and, you know, you can use it to beat the final boss and stuff like that. Like, I did Saw Cleaver my first time, never used anything else. Then, you know, the Holy Blade and this and that and blah, blah, blah. You know, we'll see. You'll see them all. Second most important thing here is now to talk to the doll.
Hello, good hunter. I am a doll, here in this dream to look after you. Honorable hunter, pursue the echoes of blood, and I will channel them into your strength. You will hunt beasts, and I will be here for you to embolden your sickly spirit. Did you speak with Gehrman? He was a hunter long, long ago, but now serves only to advise them. He is obscure, unseen in the dreaming world. Still, he stays here, in this dream. Such is his purpose. Ah, the little ones, inhabitants of the dream. They find hunters like yourself, worship and serve them. Speak words they do not, but still, aren't they sweet? Ah.
So the doll kind of, you know, tells us a little bit. She's telling us about the little inhabitants, or the messengers, and stuff like that. Spoke about Gehrman there for a minute. And mostly telling us to go find blood echoes so that she can use them to make us stronger. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, use blood echoes to raise stats and level up.
Very well. Let the echoes become your strength. Let me stand close. Now shut your eyes.
So super, super important is to kind of know in the future what weapons you're going for and what you want to use for your playthrough. You can use the Bloodborne wiki, Extra Life, whatever, whoever you trust, and kind of plan your build around that if you want to. There's no wrong way to do it, like I've said before, but I know that I need 10 strength because for a weapon that I need in the future, I need 10 strength, okay? How you want to level up from here is completely up to you. If you're going for a specific build, I would suggest doing that. If not, the most important things to upgrade are Vitality, your Endurance, and your main damage skill points. Okay? First, I would probably get everything in the 10s as much as you can, except for what you're not going to use. So, like, I'm not going to use Arcane at all in this run. So, I don't really need to worry about wasting a point there. Because as you use your Blood Echoes, it becomes more expensive to level up. So right now, everything is at a baseline of 10, which is where I kind of need it. And boom. Now, with the remaining Blood Echoes you can use items to plus it up to get more levels if you know you're going for a boss, because you don't want to travel into a boss arena carrying a lot of echoes. Because if you die, and just say you died in the back room of the corner or something like that, and you have to go through it, but that boss jacks you up before you get there, you're going to lose those Blood Echoes. And then you have to go get them all back by farming and destroying enemies, or just not caring anymore and continuing on. So, since I know that it takes 1883, I am going to get close to that number by using some of our dues over here. We'll pop one more. Okay.
Welcome. What is it? Very well. Let me...
Generally, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get Vitality up to 15. My Endurance is going to be at a 12. And then I am going to start pumping into skill until I've reached kind of the soft cap for it, just so that I'm doing a lot of damage, and then I'm going to start focusing in between Vitality and Endurance, okay? Blood Tinge, I don't really have the right necessary setup right now to start getting that going, but eventually I'm going to start hitting that as well until, you know, I start getting more points and I get the weapons I need, and then making this character more viable for that skill Blood Tinge kind of build that I'm trying to go for. So the problem with Blood Tinge and Arcane is that it does take a while for these things to kind of come to their own, and you need a lot of weapons and stuff like that, especially kind of in the late game, in order to get these things going. So it's not the most popular builds to do, and that's why I've never done it. And that's why you see a lot of quality, strength, or skill builds be kind of prominent in the Bloodborne community. Just because they're easier to set up, and a lot of the weapons are kind of more fun to play with, to be honest. But I think every weapon has its thing, and I like every single one of them, so not a problem there. So I can take this a step higher and actually go to 2,114 souls if I need to, but I'm not going to do that.
Farewell, good mate.
Because what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to buy pebbles. And I'm going to walk around with 0 echoes, and I'm not going to try to get any more unless I really have to. But what I'm essentially telling myself is that even if I grab echoes along the way by killing enemies or anything like that, I'm okay with losing them, because I've already spent what I needed, and anything I get from here is just extra until I beat that boss. That's a good way to look at it, so you don't have to be frustrated and be like, oh no, I gathered 1,000 souls, what do I do now? You don't need to worry about it. Just they're just extras. If you die and you lose them all, you never had them anyway. So I reduced myself down to 0. I'm going to go back to Yharnam, And we have that one insight for a reason. So we can make the first boss fight a little bit more manageable. And we are actually going to get prepped for the fight. So I'll show you the prep. As we come back to each area and stage of the game, enemies will reset upon death or upon just going back and forth from the lanterns here, okay? So just keep that in mind as you do this. Enemies will always reset. Now, what you want to do is you do want to get set up. So you want to start by putting on your Molotov cocktails and your oil urns. I got lucky and got an extra oil urn, but you're only going to have 4 from just regular drops in just going around the map and collecting stuff. But I had a Beastman that dropped an extra one, so this actually kind of benefits me a lot, as long as it hits. Okay, make sure you're set up, you got the weapon you need, everything's good to go. Now we're going to start making our run. Sometimes it can't be avoided, you just have to take the guys out. These are a really good source of early farming for Quicksilver bullets if you need them, by the way. If you can handle going back and forth through that kind of thing. Okay, from here we need to clear out all these guys, so this is going to be kind of a redundancy part. We want the werewolves' attentions. I think it's just safer to kind of use like a long-range whip or something to that effect, just to kind of avoid getting hit, because they can still hit you through the door, even though they can't reach you. And as you see what I'm doing, I'm just kind of backing up. So like you don't, because you'll take a step forward each time, and that step forward can kind of make them reach you. So you just want to back it up, and then just keep on circling. And there we go. Grab their items. Come back over this way and clear out this area. And actually, we'll just clear out these guys first since they're here. So we don't got to worry about it later on. So yeah, we're going to deal with the troll again. Yeah, like I said, you see your echoes are starting to pile up again, you know, it's like, oh, I don't really want to lose those. You don't need them. You know, once you spent, you don't need them. Sometimes just that second bite. A second bite is what really can get you messed up. you see one upgrade just did so much, right? Like, we are just starting it. And then, yeah, like I said, look at this guy. He's already chasing us. What a guy. Okay. Alright. So the whole reason why we did the whole insight thing, right? Let's get rid of these guys. Is because of this. This is our first summon that we can actually have an NPC help for this boss. Some may call it weak, others, who cares? Just play the game how you want to play it. It's a single player action game, just do it. This is the only time this man even has a glimpse of hope for himself, so I do honestly like using him. I never knew about this because obviously the way that the game's set up, you would have already ran into this guy and probably had killed him or struggled against him, and yeah. Meaning that he wouldn't be any help for this because he'd be dead. Now, the problem with this is if you were to die to this boss and you have 0 insight, you will not be able to summon again until you get insight again. So you can use those Madman knowledges, or you can use the insight you gain from meeting that boss. But essentially, you're only going to have 3 to 4 attempts with an additional help. Otherwise, you're going to have to fight these bosses by yourself. Insight becomes a lot easier to gain over the course of the game, but in the early stages, you only have truly like 1 or 2 shots to get it done the right way. So for this boss, this is the Cleric Beast. It is a giant werewolf. Oil urn first, and then switch to Molotov to do damage. The oil urn will only work once. You'll have to throw all 5 simultaneously. So make sure that you are watching that. Have your stock of silver bullets and your blood vials all the way high, because this guy can do some damage. And essentially what Father Gascoigne is going to be here used for is a distraction method, right? He does good damage on his own, but he's really just there to keep the boss's attention away from us while we just pelt him with oil urns and Molotov cocktails. A lot of the time the boss is going to have like this window where the oil urns or the Molotov cocktails are going to fly through it and it's not going to hit. You just generally have to get a feel for how it works. You can lock on, and you know that's going to be the more precise way to throw the oil urns and the Molotov cocktails, but sometimes it does a duck or a jump and it's going to miss. So just kind of like wait for the opportunity. When you think it's right, throw it, throw an oil urn, and then throw a Molotov, and you will burn it for like about 300 some damage. And then once you're all done with that, it becomes a game of dodge, attack, dodge, attack. Just watch out for the wide sweeping arcs. Try to hit its vulnerable points, which will be its legs, its head. Sometimes you can drop it for a visceral, and you can just get huge chunks of damage. But let's see how this goes. So I'm going to be quiet for the fight because the music is probably the best in the soundtrack. See, I got an instant visceral because I hit it in its head. So, but, you know, you miss. And that's what I'm talking about. that's all there is to it, really. Essentially, what's going to happen in your first run is you're going to run up on here. He's going to come flying over the top of that balcony. You're going to be like, oh my god, what do I do? Big old health bar is going to appear, and you're going to have your first boss fight on hand. Now, not knowing any of those strategies, it could be a struggle fest, or you could, you know, kind of get away with circling around his legs, keep yourself locked off from it. Generally, in this game, the best thing to do against giant bosses like that is to not be locked on. Because I don't like the sidestepping, and I don't like that. I like to have full control over the rolls, getting, you know, through the legs or underneath its arms or something like that. And it just feels a lot easier and more natural to control rather than just sidesteps that kind of swing you into damage rather than doing what it's supposed to actually do. The sidestepping only really works for like humanoid encounters, and that's even debatable to a degree because they do love to kind of lock onto you, and if you sidestep, you'll sidestep right into bullet shots, which is just complete shit. So yeah, just kind of get used to not locking on for the most part. But yeah, oil urns, Molotov cocktails. If you want to farm the beastmen or buy oil urns from the messengers, and you want to buy Molotov cocktails or anything like that, then go ahead and do that, and you can just set up and just spam away at throwing those two items at the boss until you deplete it. Other than that, circle around its legs, damage its head. You can break, like, you know, quote unquote, break its legs or whatever to kind of set up like a little bit of a stagger on these enemies. Serrated weapons will do a lot of damage, an extra damage to the beast enemies. So that was a beast enemy, which took more damage from my saw spear there. That's it. That's how you handle the Cleric Beast. He will drop the lantern. He's gonna drop the sword hunter badge, which this is gonna allow us to buy more weapons. Namely, the best weapon of that group is going to be Ludwig's Holy Blade, and that is used in a lot of people's quality builds because it's a weapon that scales kind of primarily on both strength and skill. It's a single arm sword that transforms into a dual-wielded claymore. So it's very great weapon, very popular. I used it in one of the other walkthroughs I think I had. I used it in my quality hunter build, I believe. That alongside with the saw cleaver are probably the two best quality weapons in the game. But like I said, anything's up for debate because you can transform any of these weapons to meet your build. You just have to get the right gems and know where to go to do that. But that is the Cleric Beast and all of Yharnam except for the Father Gascoigne fight, which we will do in the next part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop back over to the Hunter's Green. We are going to see if Gurman is ready for a talk. He is not. So a good habit to get into is to kind of like do this little circle of repair your weapons, fortify your weapons, use the altar when we actually are able to, you know, and then storage. So if you want to, I mean, you can storage items you don't need, workshop, altar, come out to the side. Usually the doll will be like right here sometimes, so just kind of get a good sense where she's at. Talk to these messengers, and you will use insight in order to get these items, which you don't need to do right now. The pungent blood cocktails, you'll have enough of those for the third boss of the game that you don't need to worry about it. We can come over here and see if the messengers are ready to talk. They are not. I really don't know what prompts them. I sometimes I completely avoid it and never change their costume, so it doesn't matter to me. Then come down here, talk to these guys. See that you have a new inventory of stuff. The hand lantern is very good. We're going to need it for the chalice dungeons, but 2000 is very steep at this point in the game, so don't worry about that just yet. There will be a time where we get that. The torch is just fine enough for that. Antidotes, really good. You'll get plenty in the game, but you know, if you have any extra blood echoes that you want to use, go ahead and use them on antidotes or blood vials or bullets. Those are like the 3 primary items I would spend those on. And maybe occasionally the bold hunter's marks, depending on how many times you're using it. Never buy this. A complete waste of time. I'll explain in the next video why. Oh, you don't get Ludwig Celebrate, my bad. So you get Kirk Hammer, the Kirk Hammer. Kirk Hammer is a very good weapon. I like it. A lot of people don't because the blunt really doesn't have like a use in this game. A lot of things are resistant to blunt or don't take extra damage. I used the Kirk Hammer in my strength build, and I'm using that currently in the other run where it's trying to do everything that the game offers. So I'm still playing that, still have to get used to it. I may opt for the repeating pistol at some point because it does have very good bluntage, as you can see. So it's, but the only caveat to this is that it shoots 2 bullets repetitively, so you can get easier stuns, but at the cost of using those 2 bullets. So, you know, that's why using those extra blood bullets is kind of paramount if you're going to run builds like this. So we'll see about that. I'm not very practiced on the repeating pistol, but I would like to use it at some point. If not, I do know of a weapon that I want, definitely, and will achieve. And that's it for that. So,
Welcome. What is it? Ah,
she has nothing new to say. We are going to channel our blood echoes. Trying to get that vitality up. We need 1,400 more points.
farewell. Welcome. Very well. Farewell.
All it is just a numbers game, so.
Very well. Farewell.
And then you can go ahead and use those to buy anything you want. So I'd probably buy Molotov since I wasted them all, and then just a couple others. Because what I'm doing is that I'm essentially saying that I know that I'm ready for the second boss. There's no point in trying to run around and, you know, fight all those enemies again because you're just not going to get enough echoes anyway. And if you're struggling with this guy at the stats that you got, then it just becomes more of a strategy type of thing, right? The only problem that I can see that may persist is you run out of items. So like if you're struggling really bad with Gascoigne or the Cleric Beast, you're going to end up running out of blood vials or quicksilver bullets. Just farm the guys with guns for the bullets and farm the the trolls or the regular humans for blood vials. Because they're kind of expensive to buy, right? You can only carry 20 at a time for now. And then you can see how much you have stored. So I have, you know, 53 blood vials on hand, and I got 51 quicksilver bullets. So you have enough to get it done. You're going to have an abundance of those things in the future. It's just right now everything's really limited since you're just starting, and it's meant to like give you no hope of like, oh my god, can I even really play this game? Am I really good enough to do this? And believe me, you are. It becomes a practice round of like learning movesets, understanding your enemy, and understanding your weapon, and upgrading yourself to a point where you feel comfortable at handling certain situations. But anyway, I hope that helps. We have finished the Yharnam first section. The Cleric Beast has been defeated. we are upgraded, and in the next part, we are taking on Father Gascoigne and heading into the next section of Bloodborne. So thank you. Oh, and I didn't do this before, so shame on me. But when we come across her, we do bow. Thank you. See you.